We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated, secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
What if there was a kind of comfort food that was actually good for us? And not only that was good for us, but could actually be considered self-care. We're going to talk about that comfort food, simple movements in our body to free our energy, and ways to connect with a supportive community with a couple of special guests today. So without further ado, let's go to the conversation.
Today we have with us Jill and Jessica Emich with the Shine Living community. They focus on creating multi-generational, inclusive communities where all types of people can come together and support each other. Their philosophy centers around moving emotion and that stuck energy inside of us through our bodies to access our freedom, personal power, and growth in our lives. So they blend that physical movement, nourishment, and that supportive community to help us discover our higher selves. Welcome, Jill and Jessica. It's so great to have you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
So
We're so happy to be
so
here.
happy to be here.
So we're going to start by talking about this idea of getting unstuck through movement. What does that mean? Tell us about that.
So I can start by saying, as we move through our lives from childhood into adulthood, a lot of times we'll have feeling or emotion that we don't want to feel. And instead of feeling it in a way to move it up and out through our body, which is what is a very healthy thing to do, we can often stuff it down. We don't want to be too much. We don't want to um, feel like we embarrass ourselves if an emotion comes out that we don't want. So we start to stuff these emotions down. And, even like just someone saying, oh, be quiet or settle down, just like this programming that happens naturally over time, where we start to lock up that emotion into our body, and it shows up in different ways, and as pain, as tightness in the body, as tension in the body. And what Jessica and I are so passionate about is helping open up that energy and that emotion in the body so we can open up to new information and heal. Because we really, when we learn and practice moving emotion through the body, we become our own healers and we remember how powerful we are. And I'll add to that as well. Often we're not aware of these patterns, and a way we can think about them is how energy moves in our system. Like, we're all energy, like that's what we're made of. And so these emotions are actually energy. And so when you think about, if you go to the gym or something, maybe like every time you're running on a treadmill or on a certain, whatever you're doing at the gym, maybe you're always holding tightness in your chest or your shoulders that is so normal to you that you're not even aware of it. Or maybe your hips always move a certain way, and because it's just part of you, it's just part of you. And so, as Jill's saying, when we learn to bring awareness into our movement, we actually start to feel where we're stuck. And when we start to be able to connect to and steward that energy, it's like a healing, and it's also even a revealing of really the fullness of who we are beyond just what we thought we were. So it's so exciting and we're so passionate, and we're just really, really feeling the power of taking your health back and remembering who we are. And that's what we do through everything we're creating at Shine Living Community. And the movement styles we do, from yoga, dance, breath work, is it's about moving your body different all the time as well. So you're opening up to new places. Like Jessica said, if you're doing the same thing all the time, sometimes you're not realizing the stuck energy. And so we love that we bring, dance, yoga, and these different modalities that really open up all the different parts of your body. And we always like to say, if it feels awkward, that's a good thing, because it means you're getting into different places that you don't normally get into. So we're like, let it be awkward, let it feel messy. Then you're getting into those juicy places.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's really cool because I'm sure a lot of times this can happen and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and especially if like life is going okay and you're just like, you're kind of like used to living at the certain level. I mean, often it comes to our attention through pain or illness or disease, or anxiety or depression, but we don't have to get to that point, is the whole point.
Mm.
We can become aware just by learning to connect with our breath and our energy through our movement as we're moving.
And isn't that funny how we wait until it's like in our face, like it hurts so bad, I can no longer move, I can no longer do this thing I was doing. Wait, now I need help all of a sudden versus like, what about a proactive approach?
Yeah, proactive approach, exactly. With our health in general, it's like so often, like you're saying, we wait till that point. And when we have this proactive approach, we actually become way more resilient, because then if pain comes up, we know and we understand our body and what we need to do to heal it. And that's such a big piece of reclaiming our power, is really having that wisdom of our own unique body, so we can build that resilience from the inside out, regardless of what's happening outside of us.
Yeah, I love the empowerment of understanding that there is wisdom in our body. Like my body knows, right? The confidence to be able to say that and acknowledge that and realize that, I think like it goes back to what we said in the intro, like it really does get us that freedom.
It's like the ultimate freedom, because again, regardless of what's happening outside of you, you know that you have this anchor and this compass inside of you that's leading the path for you, rather than someone telling you how you should feel or what you need to do. Or it's like, then, and it doesn't mean you don't have mentorship or
Right.
prescriptions that help, but it's about really knowing how it feels in your own unique body, because our bodies are, they're all different and we all heal in different ways. So it's so powerful to bring your power back to your own healing and what works for your particular body. And what I
Yeah.
also love about it is it's almost like reframing pain or illness or these things that happen or challenges in our life as actually loving, because it's our body communicating with us, and it's actually coming into the fold or into the awareness to be healed, so that more of us can be available. And so like I really
Mm.
love, like, through my own healing journey, reframing it as like this remembrance of, this is like the communication with your body. And when we can meet it with our loving presence and awareness and trust that this is moving us into like a new version of ourselves, like it's such a different mentality or, mindset or heart set, rather than like, something's happening to me, this is unfair, now I can't do this. It's like it's happening for us. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful way to distill the messages and like start to listen and learn. And so that's a big part of our messaging as well through Shine Community.
So I think what's so beautiful about what you're sharing and what you're saying is this is such a tangible way to improve and build that relationship we have with ourselves, including how we can trust ourselves. Because I think a lot of times we might feel like, oh, we can't trust others or we can't trust the world. But really, all we have to do is trust ourselves. And if we can trust ourselves, then the community piece becomes so much more, it has so much more depth because we're coming from a stronger foundation.
Exactly. It's like connecting through authenticity. It's so important right now rather than, connecting from that place of who we think we should be
Yeah.
or we want to belong. So we put on these personas and these personalities. And, when we learn about ourselves and we can really move from that authentic place and really connect from that place, it's so interesting to see who and what like shows up from your authenticity. And I know it's been a wild ride for my sisters and I, being two of triplets and always being compared, always, always being compared. So we naturally always compared ourselves to others. And what I've learned is when you're comparing yourself, you're really kind of losing the game. And it's really about understanding who you are from your own unique being, because we all have our own unique gifts. And I know we've all heard this. And like I used to hear this for so long and I didn't believe it because I was like, who am I if I'm not a triplet or if I'm, and
Yeah.
then I really started practicing these practices of who am I and really going deeper through movement medicine and through meditations and really anchoring within. And it really built such a stronger relationship with my sisters even, and then with others. And it's such a beautiful way to live when you can, discover your community from your authentic self. It's so vital in these times.
And let's talk about that community piece. Why is that so important on this healing journey? Once we can, get that strong foundation within ourselves, why is that important to start building that community and connection with others?
One of the reasons I feel like it's really important is as humans, we're wired for connection. And I think we've all had that feeling of like when we're caring for someone else or witnessing someone else in their transformation, like there's something uplifting about that. It like shows us kind of what we're made of.
Mm,
We also have, and like where we come from, which is this place of love and connection. So I feel like it feels so good because it's kind of our natural state, this connection, this love, and this supportiveness, like when we can offer that, but then all of a sudden, like feeling the other side of that, the receiving of that. I think often,
mm.
especially as women, it can be a lot easier to give than to receive. And it's like something I'm currently working with right now, like really feeling what it feels like to receive support, whether that's physical support or just energetic support as you're allowing yourself to be authentic or to move through something messy. And like how much that fortifies, because so often we just hold ourselves so tight and we're afraid to be seen. But to be seen and witnessed in transformation is an incredible fortification to just live as we truly are. And then there's also this when we're moving together and exercising together, the energy is contagious. So we start to build the energy and it gets electrified through the field and you could feel it. So we get more inspired. We're working a little harder, not like just for ourselves, but for each
Yeah.
other. And like, oh, next thing you know, we're hooting and we're hollering and or in yoga, I'll often say, like, taking our breath a little deeper, like, inspire your neighbor with your breath, because when we can hear each other breathing, then like, that expands the breath or expands the laughter or the joy. Like, we're literally creating this field together and we're shimmering it, and it just grows. And it's so fun, and it's so also deep and nourishing. And it's just like, it's just all we want to do. Yeah. Yeah. It's like you get this high off one another, really builds and it amplifies and it heals. It's like that healing energy. And like Jessica said, it amplifies. So it affects, like it's has this butterfly effect. And we always say too, when we're practicing together, whether near or far, like through our online app or in the room together, it's like an incredible act of service to practice raising your energy, anchoring within, clearing out the gunk, because it amplifies and people can feel it without you even having to say anything. It's like you'll see things start to shift in the world around you when you raise your energy. It's like how you see the world is different, how you interact with people is different, and you start to come more into this authenticity that we're speaking of. And I heard recently that what is your definition of health was the question that was proposed. And what this person said is, 15 years ago, I would have said something totally different. And this is an MD doctor. And he said, but at this point, it's 100% about connection. And it just like rippled through my whole body because I'm like, it's so true. Like we are wired, like Jessica said, for connection, and like our health is directly related to connection. And nowadays with, a lot of times people can feel more lonely, even though they have a lot of friends on Facebook, this and that. We've all like heard this, but it's like really about authentic connection with yourself, with nature, with an inspired community. And I think being one of triplets and being born into this little community, and having restaurants and gathering places for 20 plus years, we always naturally gravitated towards building connection and community.
And I will also say we're from a huge Italian family.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been like all easy in our family.
No.
Like there's
We're with each other.
incredible stories of challenges and triumph. And I really equate that to like there was so much to lean on with community and connection. We have 60 something cousins and all of that. And the truth of it is we grew up with it so ingrained in us, like wherever we go, whether it's like school pickup or whether it's the neighborhood, like always creating connection, because I'm like, this is how we survive and this is how we thrive, is recognizing that we need each other. And that's a good thing. We're stronger together. And so we're now creating this through our business, like in such a beautiful way. Like Jill said, whether it's in person or whether it's digitally, like there is this light grid and we feel it and we see it, that's created through Shine Living Community. And it's just so inspiring. And it's just so beautiful to do it with others that have a similar desire to connect and to live authentically and healthy and taking their power back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. And I love that it's not just like one project. It's like thread through your entire life and, story and background. And it sounds like when you apply this and kind of find your own community and build those connections in your life, it becomes contagious and almost maybe even like exponential.
Exactly. It really does become exponential because people want to feel like they're a part of something. They want to feel like they belong. And this community that we're creating is very much like, it's not about age. We're very multi-generational. It's not about your level of, health. It's really about curiosity, willingness, openness, and practicing, being the best version of ourselves. It's like we don't get there when we're like, oh, I feel so good. Now I'm going to show up. It's like, come as you are. Let's play, let's practice, let's anchor, and let's see what wants to happen. It's like, it's so important in these times that we stay curious rather than listening to what, we're being told, because there's
judgments of where we are on the path.
Totally.
Whether it's, how we perceive ourselves to look like, or our, ability to, exercise or move at a certain level, or what it looks like when we dance, or how flexible we are in yoga. It's like truly meeting ourselves where we are so that we can grow from that place. Cause we all have places to grow. I mean, obviously it's like unlimited. And like when we're just committed to that, to the growth and the beauty of just discovering ourselves.
And that's like so true. I feel like this community is built on commitment to becoming our greatest version, whatever it looks like. And it's messy.
Yeah.
And
it's devotion really to ourselves.
Yeah.
I love this concept and this almost like an invitation that you're providing to come as you are. Because I think a lot of times, like if you don't feel very good or if you don't feel like on your A game, our tendency is to isolate and stay home, stay alone. But what the problem with that approach is that then we start to do it more and more, right? We start to stay home more, and then that can grow in the wrong direction. So this idea of like, even if you're a little tired, even if you're in pain that day, even if you don't feel the best, still show up and do what you can. Because it goes back to that building trust with yourself of like, yes, I'm going to do something either way so that I can feel good. And then you're continuing to build on that community.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And there's really two parts of that, because sometimes it's getting out of the house and it's getting with your community and moving energy, even if you're making the movement small that day, and you're working more with your breath, or you're, just letting, your community know how you're feeling, and they're just supporting it, just even with the holding the container for whatever needs to move within you. Or the other thing could be, if you really do feel the need to stay home, it's like, how are we meeting whatever's happening within us? Like, can we meet that challenge or that pain and use the tools that we're learning, through our breath, through our awareness, like through our loving presence? Because sometimes, like, there is a time and a space to take it just really into your own personal practice. And that's what we love to teach as well, is like, this isn't something that we're saying you have to be with us in order for it to be happening. Like, the whole
Yeah.
idea of this is empowerment. Like, so you
Mm.
get to learn what you need, and you can be home, like doing your practices, or, a really long shavasana, if you're just doing a little, stretching to just ground and feel the earth and the support that's always available. There's so many tools and techniques around breath and movement and awareness that are available, and they're so simple, and it just takes practice, and then it takes putting that practice into practice. And that's what Jill and I are really inspired about, is empowering people to remember and to learn how to tap this energy inside of us and make it work to deepen our experience and our healing and our revealment. And I was just, when you were talking, I was thinking about how this all began. And, we had our restaurants, and we've been teachers for a while. And then in 2020, when, the world went a little like mad, and like everyone was very like in fear mode, and we weren't sure what we were going to do with our restaurant. I mean, it was, challenging. And I remember we were sitting at one of our bar tables at the restaurant, and we were so stressed out. We didn't see the way out, and we were like, what should we do? And then the song came on, and I went into the office, I turned it up, and we started moving, and we started dancing together, and we just started shaking our bodies and moving our bodies. And we came back to that table, and it was so interesting because it was so unexpected what came out of each of our mouths. It was like, we're done. We're ready for something new. And we wouldn't have been able to see that. And we ended up, selling and getting out of the restaurant business after 23 years. And we started this movement. And part of that is, when we were in lockdown, we started, the kids were at a school, and they were in the restaurant, and we were serving the public. To go, and it was like we had to lay off 40 employees, and it was just us. And we moved a lot, we danced a lot, and we started filming it and putting it on social media. And it was like, our mom was there in her 70s, Jessica's kids were there. They were like, you know 6 and 10 at the time. And we were like moving our energy, and we would dance to these songs and do choreography, and we started posting it, and people were dancing along with us. And then, we were doing some yoga and breath and different tools, and people were like, oh my gosh, this is getting us through. And it started really all falling into place for us. We're like, yes, coming together, movement medicine, like just showing up as we are and moving our energy instead of feeling stuck in the body, because we can't see the way forward when we're stuck. It's like when we start to shift and open our energy, we start to see perspective, bird's eye view. What is here for me to learn? What's my options? Because the possibilities are endless. I mean, the universe creates incredible possibilities, endless, literally, but it's so hard. A lot of times we think it's just this, and this is what we have to do. So even starting over at almost 50 years old with a new, business model and this and that, like, so many people would say, like, isn't that scary? And for us, it was freeing, because we were like, we get to learn, we keep our, bodies young, our minds young, our hearts open, and like, we're just literally following the breadcrumbs in the dark right now, which we really are all doing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we're really practicing what we preach, and it really works in such, incredible, unexpected, expansive ways.
Yeah, that's incredible, really. And I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but this idea of no judgment too is like it kind of plays really well together with this idea of like come as you are, because you're accepted on good days and you're accepted on difficult days. And I love that it started with dance because, this idea of like needing to break down in order to break through has this double meaning, which I think is so funny and so fun because you might break down kind of your mental space to find what really is at the root cause so that you can move forward, but you're also kind of breaking down into dance, right?
Mhm. Breaking it down.
Yes, break down. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like, if we look at what's happening outside of in the world right now, there's so much breakdown to breakthrough happening, and it is really messy. And like
Yeah.
we're witnessing what's happening inside of each of us. And Jessica and I talk about this all the time. And it's allowing it to happen so that we can create new systems and new programming and new stories for ourselves. And it's happening globally right now. We always say we were built for these times. It's such an incredible time to be alive.
And
And
really recognizing like what we're focusing on. Like, are we connecting to and focusing towards like what's breaking down? Like, even within ourselves, it's like, um, what's breaking down, what's falling apart, what needs to go. Because often that's very loud and that could be where the focus is. Or are we bringing our awareness and our focus towards what is birthing and what is being renewed and what is coming through, this breakthrough. So it's like really checking in with ourselves, because where we put our awareness is what grows, and we hear this. And I just feel like now, like with so much social media and so many messages being bombarded, it's like our awareness is so important, for ourselves, for our children, for what's being built and what's coming through all of this messiness. And I'm just like, feeling so inspired when we look around and see what's being birthed. And so many people nowadays, they're not seeing that because they're not looking towards it. They're seeing, oh my gosh, what do we hold on to? What do we believe in? What is there what's stabilizing us? And it's all right here inside of us. And it's actually like more beautiful than we could possibly imagine what's being birthed right now.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to look at it of like instead of focusing on the thing that's breaking down, are we focusing on what's being birthed? And I think when we look at like this need and this desire or urge to control what's happening around us, it allows us to let that go because I think focusing on that, piece where it's like, okay, what's breaking down and how can I control these things and make sure it goes exactly how I want it to go versus like, oh, can I just be curious to like what's happening, what's growing, what's evolving, what new flower is growing from the soil after the fire.
exactly. It's so
Beautiful.
powerful. Exactly.
And it is like a surrender. Like for me
Yeah.
personally, I have to actually feel the softening in my body. Like, because like even if we're focusing on what's being birthed, we're all aware of there's a breakdown happening. And so it's like allowing and softening and surrendering, not giving up, but like just allowing
Right.
wants to move and
Mhm.
break down, especially within ourselves, like letting go of the old stories, and letting go of that whole old idea of what we thought we were. Like, I think we all are needing to do that right now because it's actually so much more beautiful than we thought. That's the thing. That's the thing that we have to trust is on the other side. And it's like there is a surrender, there's a softening around the heart, around the shoulders, around the belly. Like sometimes I just have to sit with the softening and then like I can feel the energy start to get unstuck.
So as you were talking about this idea of surrendering, not being giving up, I had this like visual in my mind of like this door opening and then like nothing but light on the other side. So it's like because I've heard that before of like, how do you surrender without like, giving up on your high expectations or, how do I still make sure things are good and all of those things. But it's almost like this door opening to new possibilities we didn't even consider yet.
Exactly. Exactly. But it takes that softening, or it takes
Yes.
really that opening and staying open in our hearts and in our bodies to see that higher perspective or those other possibilities, instead of like tightening up and saying it needs to look this one way, or if this doesn't happen then that means that this happens, like, or it's like
It's almost like moving from the like mind, like the primal mind into the heart. And
Mm,
like
yeah.
I think that's the difference is when we're looking just from that primal mind, like it can look like a really narrow focus of the way it needs to go. And like it's never going to be a narrow focus because there's, as we keep mentioning, like an unlimited possibility. So when we know it's a really narrow focus, it's just an indication that we can deepen our breath, start to feel into our heart, move the body a little bit, because then we can start to recognize like we can't even fathom all the ways this can go. So like that to me is part of the surrender too, is recognizing like it's bigger than me. It's bigger than my mind can decide. So softening into the possibilities. And then we can hear the messaging and then we can let it come through what's supposed to come through rather than like, yeah, the narrow focus or the tightness in the body. It's all connected. And so it's a wild adventure.
Wild
That's
adventure.
what it becomes.
Yeah. And it becomes this huge playground. Like, because it's really like once you start to learn how to work with your own energy, you start to see how you feel is exactly how you're seeing the world. It's like so
Mm.
interconnected. And so when you start to shift from into the energy of the heart, like Jessica's saying, you start to open, all of a sudden oh my gosh, you see like this beautiful birds flying across and all of a sudden it makes you think of something or remember something and then it's like you start to open up to possibility and it really takes that softening to really see and feel and sense because it's like bringing all of that in and it comes from the body.
It's almost like as you expand in the body, like literally expanding the body through movement and through breath, the mind and the wisdom also expands.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It comes from the body. Yeah.
Beautiful. And what about nourishment? I know that's also a really important piece of the puzzle for you guys as far as, your health and healing journeys. Do you want to tell us a little bit how that also comes into play?
Absolutely. So through our restaurants, we were always serving local food in connection with local farmers and then really nutrient dense foods, but it was always and still is nutritionally inspired comfort food. And comfort food meaning it tastes really good, it's like really nourishing on every level. Like often people feel like if it's good for you then it doesn't taste as good.
Right.
And we were always, again, back to that big Italian family, like we wanted to feel decadent and yummy and satisfying. Because if we're not satisfied because we're eating like food that is like doesn't taste good to us, we're always going to go off the rails at some point,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I have my master's in holistic nutrition, and then both of us, have been chefs, and I chefed through the restaurants and did all the menu planning. And so it's really about like simplifying our food, eating close to the earth, vibrant food, local meats, grass-fed meat, high quality, and getting connected with our local farms for CSAs because often people can say, it's expensive to eat that way or it's not as available where I live. And so this gives us such an opportunity to connect with our community, to connect with nature,
Mm.
because like food and the way we eat is one of the most intimate relationships we have because our food literally becomes us. And we're
Yeah.
such big proponents to like what we feed ourselves can be an incredible act of self-love when we start to care. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Like we make sure like the recipes in our cookbook are simple and easy to do for people that don't want to spend all this time in the kitchen. And then connecting with our local farms, like say for example, if you have a CSA and you pay less for vegetables than you would in the grocery store if you're paying for a season or something. We do is like when you're doing grass-fed meats, you can get like a quarter of a cow or share a cow with lots of other people, and then it drops the price by quite a bit of money, a lot less than you'd get in the grocery store. So recognizing that there's ways to do this, and then we're also really into sprouting, which is extremely cheap. It's like, takes cents, a few dollars, and you can have these seeds and sprout them in a few days, getting the family, the kids involved. And it is the most nutrient dense thing to eat on the whole planet. And it tastes good and you could put it on things. So like we really try to create ease to get high vibrational foods and healthy foods in our body, because it does affect our state of mind, our state of body. And so this is one of our big passions, is the recipes, and even some cooking classes and some nutrition classes on our portal, on our app, on our digital studio. And we do it with the kids and with family, and it just is really, like, for me, it's one of my passions, is showing how it can be possible. Because
Yeah.
so often when we talk about food and we talk about getting in the kitchen, like, people just like are like, oh, but I'm not a good cook, or it's a lot of money.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yep.
one of our passions is making it possible, for sure. Yeah, breaking through those limited beliefs around that, because, like Jessica's saying, eating healthy doesn't have to be super expensive, and it doesn't have to taste bad, and it doesn't have to taste bad, and it's your health. And like Jessica's saying with the kids, like, we're so passionate about bringing the kids into the kitchen and cooking with us and making it a family affair, because they're learning, we're learning, and we're creating together, and they're learning the importance of, like, meals together, ingredients and what it means, and, like, how, like, we practice even with them how it feels when they eat certain things, and it's just like, again, that connection. It always comes back to connection to the food, how it makes us feel, how it feels to get it from the farms and prepare it in the kitchen. And it's, like, not overly, like, restrictive or anything like that, because even with the kids, like, occasionally, whatever, they're going off the rails, this and that, but we have a baseline. It's like really talking about the baseline. Like, it's still celebratory, it's still fun. Like, it's like, for us, it's like having wine, like when we're having family community over and this and that. Like, it's not about being restrictive, it's really just about, like, having a baseline, and feeling taking our power back around food as well, so that we know how to nourish ourselves, and then we know what we're coming back to.
That's so cool. And it's such a relief to know that these things can be easy and approachable and we can come as we are.
And this is our second edition, upgraded who we are now, upgraded recipes. And we love this cookbook so much, because it's all our tried and true favorites from the restaurant for over 20 years. And like Jessica's saying, simple, easy to do, but then also for, like, the gourmand, it's like it has, like, some really cool techniques in there, simple techniques, and like, fun, like, nutrient dense desserts, and things the kids can do even on their own. Like, the kids are in
Yeah.
a lot of the pictures, and
Oh,
it just
cool.
feels very, like, family fun, friendly. And whether you're at home, like, if you're a single person at home or have family, like, it's just, like, easy, healthful, delicious recipes.
That's so cool. So, okay, if we were to approach the two of you today, like say we walk into your office or, walk into a virtual meeting with you and we're like, gosh, I just feel so stuck and I don't even know where to begin because, there's a lot of cool things out there, but, I'm just, like you said, I'm not a good cook or I don't even know where to begin in the kitchen or how to meal plan and how to, start moving my body in a way that feels good or different than how I've done it in the past. Where would you have us start? What was the first thing that you would tell us or have us go do or reflect on?
As far as movement goes,
Hmm.
even, like, I would say, even just, like, taking a walk outside in nature, like,
Yeah.
in the sunlight, and just starting to just, like, notice your body as you walk, and, like, maybe even doing it without the headphones, and just, like, doing it in a way where you start to feel the connection to nature and to yourself, and just start to feel your body as you
Yeah.
walk, as you move, and just with a sense of curiosity. So, curiosity is so different than judgment, but they can kind of come from the same vein. So, doing it
Mhm.
with a sense of curiosity and starting to open up to that curiosity in your body. And the reason why I say to do it in nature, because, like, nature is so inspired all the time. It's always growing, it's always healing, it's always resilient, it's always finding new ways. And so it kind of inspires us as we gently walk. It doesn't have to be a hike, you don't have to get your heart rate up, just start to walk and get curious. And then tune into one of our fun classes, and just, like, even whether it's live, live streamed live, or
off the app, just like, and people will get a free month just to like feel what it feels like to start to move your body to music. And both the dance and the yoga and the freedom movement method that we created is very somatic. So every movement has an intention. So you
Yeah.
start to feel it's not about like getting it right or like Jessica said, being super flexible. It's about really
Yeah.
feeling your body.
Mhm.
And so again, do it with a sense of curiosity and start to just notice. It's like so much about like noticing and curiosity and like willingness. And so that's kind of where I would say in the movement piece to start.
And I really like to bring people into their breath, because I think we, over time, have dispersed our energy so far outside of us, like looking out there for the answers, looking out there for like what we need to do next or what we should look like. And there's a practice I do every morning, and it's central channel breath. And it lands us right back in our bodies. And once we start to land back in our bodies, and it doesn't take long to do the practice and then to feel back in your body, all of a sudden you start to wake up to who you really are, because many of us have forgotten. And so this breath drops us in the body, anchors us in our system, and then we can start to feel again. Um, and then from that place, we can start to see what's going to serve our unfoldment or our healing or our next step, whatever it is that we're longing for.
And as far as in the kitchen goes, like I think just like giving yourself, this curiosity. Like I have a nephew and he was, suffering with depression and some loneliness. And I was like, what about like, going to the grocery store? He followed some of the recipes that we had and just like cooking for yourself. And, you know,
Mm.
and I wasn't sure if he was going to take my advice or like anything. Like, and then
Yeah.
we had Thanksgiving dinner together and he was sitting next to me and he said, "Oh my gosh, like I started cooking and it awakened my creativity." And he's like,
Wow.
"I don't feel depressed anymore. Like it's really helping me shift." And he's like, "It took a couple of weeks and didn't feel like doing it at first, but I started doing it. And like now he's finding his favorite recipes that he likes and loves for himself and he's cooking for himself. And it's like awakening this part of him." So
And that's exactly it. Like, can you make it an act of self-love? Because
Mhm.
remembering how to nourish ourselves, and that's through
Wow.
food, through breath, through movement, but like an act of self-love, like, as women, possibly more so, like sometimes food can almost become this punishment almost, like, so it's
Mhm.
learning how to make it nourishment again, to make it loving again, and like that in itself is such an energetic exchange, um, that's really healing.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for really showing us these tactical, tangible tools that we can use to bring that softness back into our life and create this openness to really find that freedom for us, whatever that looks like for each of us. It's been an absolute joy having you here. And if they want to connect with you, how can they do that?
So definitely visit our website at shinelivingcommunity.com. You can find everything we're up to there. And definitely join our mailing list, which you'll find right there on the homepage. Monthly, we send out a thrival kit. So we're over this survival mode and we're into thrival mode. So it's tips and recipes and all sorts of, there's usually dance and some yoga, but it's all free from our newsletter with a monthly theme, and it's really motivating to just get started and creating new patterns and making some changes in your life. So it's super inspirational and super, easy to do, easy stuff. So join us there on our newsletter, and then
everyone that's listening today gets a free month on our Shine Living Community digital studio app. So there'll be links to that in the show notes.
and that's all a whole library of classes.
And then our Eat, Drink, Shine cookbook, we'll put a link to that as well, or you can find it on our website, the second edition. And it's really beautiful. And there's stories woven throughout and over 100 recipes, tried and true and dear to our heart. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Let's stay connected for sure.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for your time and sharing your gifts with us today.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world, and as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.